Till the rhythm of the moonlight, through the ancient boots, it's the style of life. With every turn, escaping shadows by. Good evening, treasure seekers. This is Blake coming to you live from New Mexico, and joining me as always from Washington State, it's Bryn and Cody. How's it going, guys?
Woo! Doing good. Cody was quite the Mr. Martha Stewart today, so
Wow.
I've had a good day.
Really?
Yeah, tell the people all the food you made today, Cody.
Stock insider trader. Oh, food. I see.
Much more
nice.
Much more wholesome reference.
Oh, okay.
What did I make? I made waffles, and Bryn at Trader Joe's got this pumpkin butter. That was really good.
Wow.
And I made whipped cream and then folded the pumpkin butter into it to put on the waffles. So that was breakfast, and that was really good. And then for dinner, I made homemade potato buns, and then used that to make burgers. And the buns were very good, and the burgers were very good.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. When the weather turns, you gotta start baking.
That's awesome. You guys had a fun weekend. Or at least a
I
fun
also
Sunday.
Was working on flooring in the basement and did the flooring and some plumbing and removed and replaced the toilet. And then I told Brent, I feel like I may be one of the only people in the history of the world that's ever done potato bun baking and toilet plumbing in the same day. Two very different ends of the spectrum.
That is. I also did plumbing this weekend, but
Oh.
much worse. And I didn't even do it myself.
Uh-oh.
I had a plumber. I've been dealing with my washer, draining back up for years now. And so I've done some hacks, try to regulate how much water's going down there and stuff like that. And it's just finally got too annoying. So called in the plumber. They found some roots down there. Brought in the high pressure cleaner, and now I have a broken pipe under my slab concrete.
Oh no!
Yeah, so that's going to be nasty to try to get down to that. Luckily, it's not under a wall; it's under the hallway, so they think there's enough space to be able to get through the slab under there and fix it. But I'm afraid of what that bill's going to be.
Oof. We gotta find the box.
I'm gonna need that.
We just
Bitcoin.
gotta find that box.
I'm gonna need that Bitcoin ASAP.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
sorry.
Well,
to
is
hear
it their fault that they broke the pipe?
Yeah. It's an old house, so I don't know.
That sucks.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm planning on just paying for it, but that's a good question. Maybe you can advocate for me.
Judge Judy, that one. Small claims court for sure.
No, not at all. It's just part of home ownership, I suppose.
Yep. That is unfortunate.
It is. So I have no idea when that's going to start happening, but ugh. All right. Enough fun. Let's get into the news. Bryn, you have news today.
I do. Exciting news, because we very rarely hear from Jon Collins-Black himself anymore, and we received an email from him. This email was sent on October 21st, 2025. So since it is so infrequent that we hear from him, I'm going to go ahead and just read the whole email. I'm assuming if you are listening to this podcast, oh, go ahead, Blake.
Just to be clear, the email is not just to us. It was an email sent to the mailing list that you can sign up for on treasureinside.com. You can sign up for Jon Collins-Black's email and also get this email as well. So sorry, in case that wasn't clear.
No, that's excellent clarification. What I was just going to say is if you're listening to the podcast, you also probably have received the email because you're on the emailing list.
Yep.
That being said, let's read this email so we can all be on the same page as we discuss it. Dear reader, it has been a while since my last email. As I look at my calendar, it's hard to believe that it's almost been a year since my book, There's Treasure Inside, was released and the national treasure hunt for the 5 treasures I hid began. But while time goes by with what feels like a quick and unwavering speed, some things remain unchanged. For one, your emails and pictures and stories continue to flow in, and as they do, they paint an enormously rich tapestry of treasure hunting experiences. So many of you have been finding joy and happiness and embracing the experience of traveling on this journey. Each story uniquely threads part of a much grander weave. All of you deserve praise for your immense spirit of adventure. While it remains true that none of my hidden treasures have yet to be discovered, some of you have been closer than you think. And when the first domino does fall, I wonder if others might be quick to follow suit. Meanwhile, I have spent some time on some treasure quests myself this year. Perhaps I will be able to share more with you about that in the future. To celebrate this first year of the hunt, you can expect a few public interviews and conversations with me. I'm also considering doing my first in-person book signing since my book was released. The details of that would be released in this newsletter, so you'd be the first to know. As for hiding the treasures I've hidden, if you ever feel disheartened or discouraged that you haven't found one yet, please do not let your frustration linger long. Know that your experiences are meaningful to me. I'm grateful for taking part in this experience, be it only for a day or only a day or a few years. You are an inspiration for all the future treasure hunters of all kinds who will follow in your footsteps. Yours in the hunt, Jon Collins-Black. So, I think there's a few things to discuss in there. I would like to start off with the fact that this email was sent on October 21st, which means he decided to send a 1-year follow-up email from the original release date. The book was supposed to be coming out. So he stuck true to that October 21st date rather than sending a 1-year follow-up on when the book actually was released. So that seems pretty interesting.
That is interesting. That I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. That maybe he's trying to emphasize there was importance to the release date. Huh.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay.
And I'll have a little bit more of a goodie on that in the mailbag coming up.
Oh, great. Okay. What else do you want to discuss?
Well, I think it's interesting that there's things that kind of jump out as like, well, this sounds like clues because of course we have Cody's love of the tapestries and the weaving and the painting going with the mural theme. So, I don't know. It's like, is he trying to kind of expand some of his messaging from the book into this email? And if so, like, do we treat that as additional clues in a sense? I know he said he's not going to be doing this forest fen continuing to layer in things, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Don't talk too much about it. It's my what's more likely.
Oh, okay. Well,
right,
maybe we just leave it at that then. But I just think it was just kind of an interesting message to read of just checking in. So there wasn't like too much content. I hope there's a book signing. That would be exciting. Always good to hear from Jon Collins-Black.
Yeah, I don't think we've been tapped for one of these interviews, have we?
I think we would probably have to initiate. I don't think they would be approaching us, is my guess.
We are the Unofficial podcast. I would say we're the most focused on.
We are.
There's treasure inside uniquely. Certainly, there's Treasure Inside Edition would be a good one, and Matthew Hobbies. Anyway, I don't think we don't have a new interview lined up in case anyone was wondering. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the community.
Please send all media inquiries to tips.
Cool. Yeah, there was another part of that email now. I'll try to pull it up. Let's circle back though. October 21st, just looking it up quickly, is recognized as Back to the Future Day.
Oh.
A day celebrating the fictional date Marty McFly travels to in the movie series. It's also...
And I think that was... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was say I think Calazars did call that out the first time around.
Mm-hmm. It's also National Apple Day. Interesting. National Pumpkin Day. No. National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. National Mezcal Day.
Solved.
And Reptile Awareness Day. It was also Thomas Edison's first successful test of an electric light bulb in 1879.
Oh.
Interesting.
Flame light. Interesting. Very interesting.
Some seem more plausible than others there.
Let's see. You guys stall for time while I pull up the JCB. I think this is a nothing burger, but I want to remember it before I forget. Let's see. Oh, hurry.
I was thinking we should have worn Halloween costumes for this episode.
Oh.
At one point last week, I thought, we should try to do a Halloween episode where it's like everything's kind of spooky.
Spooky solves.
Yeah, like all kind of, I don't know. Yeah, spooky, I guess. And then I totally forgot about the idea.
And when the first domino does fall.
Yes.
Games.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nothing burger, sorry. That's just the first
the
time.
The domino falling?
Yeah, that's just the first time
I
noticed
don't,
that.
I mean...
Why is it a nothing burger?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a connection to make for that other than it caught my ears when you said it.
The one that actually caught my ears that I wrote down here when Brendan was reading the email was something to do with suits.
Yeah, that's right after it.
Which is also games.
I wonder if others might be quick to follow suit. Ooh.
Like follow suit, like
in a trick-taking game.
Club.
Yeah,
a lot of game references.
That could be 2 game references. Huh. Meanwhile, I've spent some time on some treasure quests myself this year. Huh. That's interesting, actually. Okay. I like it. Little tickler. Cool. Cody, you have 2 quick notes that are eyebrow raisers.
And there are things that I didn't even check, like the Discord. I should have done a general search to see if they've already been talked about. But there are things that came up while I was doing some research that I added to my notes and then wanted to talk about, but they're kind of very like talk about it for 30 seconds. First one, he says he left a laminated clue in each of the smaller boxes, which I thought was interesting because we've talked about treasure being in the boxes, treasure not being in the boxes, how safe are the boxes. And I thought it's interesting that he felt the need to laminate the clue. It's like, if this can have some of these more delicate treasures in the box safely, you think you're also not going to have like your piece of paper deteriorating. So, eyebrow raiser.
That's interesting.
That's actually a really good point.
Second one was the
Can
line.
I make...
You may.
I think maybe one thing about that is, well, I don't know, maybe this doesn't even make sense either. I was thinking like the laminated clue would be in the larger box, not the actual treasure chest. But even in that case, that would still be the larger box, would still be, in theory, its purpose would be to protect it from the weather.
Yeah.
So, okay, carry on.
The second one I wanted to touch on is from part 2. A lot of my segments are going to be about part 2 today. It's the line, in the previous 3 chapters, I shared with you a poem, a fictional story inspired by a childhood adventure, and a few games. With this chapter, we've come full circle from where this book began. And that is I wrote this down like a week ago, but that's the Appalachian Trail map, because it's the last one. And he says the poem, which is the Forest Fen, fictional stories, the Pokemon, and a few games, is the
Past and future
Past
box.
and future. Literally what I'm going to spend most of my time talking about today. I thought it's interesting that he then says we've come full circle to where this book began. Could that be a reference to a map/roadmap, like in the Appalachian Trail, coming full circle from map or roadmap in part 1? So again, I don't know if that's something that's already been discussed ad nauseum, but 2 things that I wrote down. There wasn't really a good place to talk about them in the episode, but they made me raise my eyebrow. So I wanted to get it out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, the first paragraph of the first chapter, honestly, when he talks about his son drawing a treasure map, I think it is a direct reference to that. You're kind of taking it a little different value in terms of draw a roadmap as the whole theme of the chapter, but I think both are super valid. Very good points.
Just eyebrow raisers.
Nice. All right. Shall we do what's more likely? We have 3 new sound effects from Rashawn, so I think we'll just play them randomly. Let us try the first one. What's more likely?
What's more likely?
All right, Cuddy, you want to kick us off for what's more likely?
You bet.
I like thinking of someone like having a nice peaceful drive to work, a nice morning commute, and that just like very abrasive sound is like catching me off guard.
All right. So for this, what's more likely, I kind of need to, I don't know if you want to call it like define a new term or kind of create this new idea, but I want to be like very intentional about the wording that I'm using here. So basically, I want to differentiate, and these are just kind of my own word choice here, but I want to differentiate between what I'm going to call pointers and hints or clues. So I'm like a firm believer that JCB is not, at least at this point, giving like full on hints or clues outside of the book in interviews, in emails, stuff like that. It's what he said he was going to do. I don't think he's gone back on that. But I started thinking about, I get so much from these interviews and the things he's saying, and I don't know if I'm making these things up in my own head or if it's like some type of confirmation bias. But ultimately, where I got was I want to kind of differentiate between pointers and then the hints and the clues. So in my mind, a pointer is something where the hint or the clue already exists in the chapter, and he, in an interview or an email or something, is trying to nudge you towards that clue or hint that already exists. And maybe I'm just doing kind of like just messing around with words to kind of validate some of my ideas here. But I guess I'm really differentiating between the idea that the idea of either you will receive no valuable information from interviews or emails, or you just will not receive, no new clues or hints will be created, but I will point you towards clues or hints that are already in the book. Does that kind of make sense?
It does.
The difference between the two that I'm trying to draw here?
Yep.
Okay. That being said, here is the what's more likely. So there have been a couple of interviews and such, most recently this 1-year anniversary email, where GCB used some words or phrases that I'd previously narrowed in on as keywords or key phrases in the book. Given that, what's more likely? JCB is purposefully using these words or phrases in order to emphasize their importance in the book, like pointers, or JCB's using these words. JCB's use of these words or phrases indicates that it's part of his normal standard language, which would be evidence against those same words or phrases being clues in the book. And that it's just they're coming off as genreisms. I guess they still would be genreisms, but because he's saying in the emails, you're like, oh, it's just something he normally says. in his day-to-day life. That's just his kind of language. I'll check in again. Does that make sense? Because
Yes.
I feel
And
like
I really like that question too.
Thank you.
So what's more likely, Bryn?
I'm so on the fence because I think maybe even prior, I think first of all, let's just get it out there. Like the Yellowstone Declaration, like that is a thing of its own. That doesn't count.
Outlier.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
outlier. I would say prior to this email, I would have said that it's more likely that it would just be a coincidence. Well, not coincidence. It would just be his genreism language rather than pointing towards a clue. But I also feel like, nope, I'm just going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with that because that's the spirit of this segment. So I think in my stance in this case is any of these. I hate this because I don't believe what I'm saying. I'm on the fence.
There's
the
no
tough
way.
part of what's more likely is it kind of forces you to take a side on something that the design of the question is
It's more
not
like,
I know.
one to take a side on.
It's more likely that he's using these as pointers.
I think okay. Yeah, if you just say what's more likely versus making me have to say 100% one thing or another. I agree. It's more likely that they're pointers.
Each story uniquely threads part of a much grander weave. They paint an enormously rich tapestry of treasure hunting experiences. I mean, those are just like very key terms that he uses in the introduction of the book and through some of the chapters as well. So I think it's part of the theme. I think it's a pointer, which is interesting because it might be worth going back and looking at all the emails he sent to see if there's other key terms that maybe he would identify for us as helpful, or other ones that we've identified that we can pick out. But yeah, I mean, I'm very strongly, when I was talking to our new friend Zach, told him about the email about the tapestry and the weaving, like directly. I'm like, he said these words which are important for the book.
Yeah. I guess maybe where I was originally trying to like communicate an alternative stance on it is like weaving a story, like all these weaving like it is all very open-ended. Like it is a way, like if he's trying to make all these stories tie together in one cohesive way, like it is kind of just a very universal way to talk about, like it very much could be a theme of the book without being a clue, I think, at the same time.
Yeah, that's fair. But you're cheating
I
the system.
I agree that it is more likely that there's a clue. I mean, we've been saying it all along, so I don't think I can change my stance on it being a clue just because of this.
What do you think, Cody?
I would have said that they are not clues, that it's just kind of his specific style of prose and his kind of standard word choice, until I did my little I guess logic exercise or whatever, till I convinced myself there's a difference between creating a new clue and pointing us to an existing clue. Which, yeah, I don't know. It still feels like I'm maybe forcing things by redefining things that way, but it seems pretty clear and kind of clear, clean and crisp to frame it that way. So, yeah, I'm definitely kind of right down the middle, but I'd probably lean towards. I'd almost lean towards, I guess, that it's like a what's the phrase?
Genreism.
No. Think of it. I'm gonna think of it here.
It's a nudge.
Correlation and causation thing.
Okay.
It's similar to the whole correlation. It's not causation where it's like, I think he may, like, kind of what Bryn's saying. I'm probably just rephrasing what Bryn's saying, that maybe it's like a theme of the book that's not specific to some clues, but it's just kind of the backbone of the book. And he's kind of using that same terminology. I don't know. I'm not saying much of anything. I don't know. Don't know.
I like that question though.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm proud of the question. I'm not proud of my own answer to the question. I do like to think of Jon just living his day-to-day life and just like driving around in traffic and be like, I'm really weaving through traffic here. It's just a rich tapestry of traffic. That's just how he does.
And then say poem. Sorry, I can't talk since I say treasure.
Treasure.
See, I can do it. All right. Next one?
Yeah.
Last one. We're only going to do 2 today. What's more likely? This is a good one for a 1-year anniversary almost. The coins are a global clue for the lion's share treasure, or the coins are clues for the individual boxes. Bryn, what's more likely? I'm springing this one on you, so it's just your gut reaction.
My gut reaction is it's a clue. They're clues to the part 2 boxes.
Okay.
Because he's telling us that there's the laminated clue to serve as the additional help for the lion's share.
Okay.
So I don't think he would I don't think he would be calling that out exclusively if the coin was also in that bucket. Because that almost seems maybe unfair to not make that distinction. Because I think at first pass you would think that the coin is also a tool to help you find the part 2 box. Mm-hmm. So that would almost feel a little misleading, even though I do get it is very desirable to try to make the coins all come together to help with the lion's share.
Okay. Cody?
Yeah, I'm pretty firmly in the they each align to a box in part 2 camp. I'd even go further than that, and I would say they each align to a box in part 2, and they all are used in different ways. That should be the camp that I'm in. I think that, say one is a state border angle, then I don't think that is what any of the other ones are. I think they're all going to be unique.
Okay.
A lot of that goes back to something I haven't said now in a bunch of episodes, my too big a bite phrase, where it just seems like you're getting too much information by solving one thing.
Right.
And then I'd also just say that when you purchase the ebook of part 1, you don't get the part 2s. So I don't think you see those coins if you just buy the lion's share treasure. So I think that's pretty clear differentiator.
That's a great point. I did not consider that. I think I'm in the camp of slightly leaning towards it's more likely that the coins are individual clues for the part 2 boxes. The part that makes me hesitate on that is his comment, two comments from Jon Collins-Black, actually. One, once 2 of the small boxes have been found, he thinks the other ones are going to be found more quickly. And the easy explanation of that is how people use the coins in 2 of the boxes that have been found. Meaning, they would be clues for the part 2. That's not set, that's just a theory. The other comment is from his American Treasure. Well, I guess his American Treasure commentary would actually lean me the other way. So officially, I'm in individual coin for the part 2 boxes, part 2 clues. His comment on American Treasure interview, that podcast, is when he was thinking about designing the other small boxes, he had the idea of having that clue, like the laminated clue that you actually mentioned earlier, Bryn, for the finder. But he also thought about having a clue that everybody would get, the community would get also at the same time. That would be different, but also a clue for the lion's share. And so if he was thinking about that early on or sometime during his design of this hunt, I feel like it could totally be the coins. And he decided maybe they weren't necessarily informative enough at the beginning and just put them out there in the book anyway. So that kind of argues towards being a lion's share treasure, that he kind of adapted this idea of a community clue. And it could have been that the coins were supposed to be the individual clue you would get if you found the box. And now you had a lion's share clue. But I don't know. I lean more towards your guys' camp.
Yeah, I think there's very strong arguments for both.
All right. Let us dive into horseshoes and hand grenades. Bryn, you have our first horseshoe and hand grenade for today.
Just a very quick one. I was doing a little bit of Froakie research, and I saw that the first anime episode that Froakie was introduced in was called Kalos, Where Dreams and Adventures Begin. So I was like, well, Jon Collins-Black meets up with the Froakie, kind of picking up where, this dream is beginning. It's the beginning of an adventure. So I thought maybe there's something to that. So Cody and I watched this episode and gathered absolutely nothing from it. There was nothing about dreaming. So
Clement was in it.
Clement was in it.
Oh.
Big Clement guy.
I now have like a Froakie, an actual sound the Froakie makes. I hear that in my head. It's much less, it's not as cute as Froakie was not
deeper.
as cute. Yeah. I thought Froakie was a lot cuter before. So that's all. Nothing to gather, at least from what we witnessed in that episode. That's all.
Cool. No, it's an interesting coincidence for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, you have a more substantial horseshoes and hand grenades. Not that one was super interesting, but short.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
See if I can figure out how to do this correctly. All right, that looks right to me. All right, so I've actually got two different horseshoes and hand grenades to discuss today. I'll go through the first one, but I'm so much more excited about the second one. But I already put the presentation together for the first one. So I have been into Past and Future Box, and I kind of wanted to wipe the slate clean again and start from square one. And to do that, I started reading the part 2 introduction to see what I could gather from that. And I think one of the reasons that I got interested in that originally was because I was doing it off my ebook, and then I saw that the part 2 ebook included that part 2 introduction before the actual part 2 chapter content. So I thought, hey, maybe this is important, more important than I'm giving it credit for, because I kind of just never reference the part 2 introduction. I just bypass that and get straight to the good stuff and the meat and potatoes of the chapter. So I read through part 2, our next 4 treasure boxes again. As I said, it was included with each of the part 2 chapters in the ebook. And as I was reading through it, I jotted down things that jumped out to me, which ended up just being basically the genreisms in the chapter. Okay. And I came up with 4 of them. 4 of them in my notes. First one was, at first, this plan sounded awesome as it reverberated between my ears. That one jumped out to me. Another person might find that solved just their brand of tea. I know we had talked about that one pretty extensively at some point many months ago. 3, perhaps they'll even provoke a grin from you, as they certainly did from me. Those 3 were the most blatant, like, outliers or genreisms. And just having them on this slide, they don't seem that genreism-y, but if you reread the chapter, it's actually like a very dry, to the point chapter. And these, at least those first three, really do jump out, at least to me.
Okay.
And then the last one, which is kind of, I called it 3.5 notes because I did originally write this one down, but it didn't really seem to jump out as much, which was, I wanted you to feel that there was a reasonable possibility that at least one of our treasure boxes was in a location not terribly far from where you are right now.
Hmm.
So I had been working on Past and Future, as I mentioned, and I'd actually been zeroing in on his emphasis on the specific brand of Bitcoin that I can never figure out how to pronounce it.
Cassacious coin.
Cassacious coin. And so when I looked at these notes, kind of reflected back on them, I thought, I was drawn to that second one there. Another person might find that solved just their brand of tea. So I started to formulate this idea that because I had these 4 genreisms in my notes, and one of them seemed somewhat connected to, like, potentially a connection or a pointer, like I kind of just pointed to one of those chapters in part 2. So I thought, hey, what if like, it seems logical that the introduction to point 2, maybe he wants to include a couple of hints or hint-esque things, but obviously doesn't want to get carried away in the introduction. Maybe the introduction includes one pointer to something in each part 2 box that you should pay special attention to, maybe.
Okay.
So I started to see if I could line.
Sorry, I just want to see if I understand.
Yes.
So you think each one of these relates to one box, or you're saying each one of these can relate to each box in a different way?
Each one relates to one box is the theory that I was working on at the time, because I happened to pull out 4 genreisms or interesting tidbits, and one of them immediately seemed like he was referencing specifically Past and Future blocks. So I thought, hey, what if, since there happens to be 4 of them, what if one is like pointing towards a specific Pokemon pointing towards a specific clue, and the same for, each of the other boxes.
Okay.
So I started with, another person might find that solved just their brand of tea. And as I said, I was made kind of a mental connection between that and Past and Future box immediately. It seemed interesting to me that he was like so specific about that Cassacious coin. So the quote that I found in Past and Future box that best describes that, I think, is, there are different brands of physical Bitcoins, and different coins have been produced using gold, silver, titanium, and brass. Yet by far the most famous brand of physical Bitcoins are Cassacious coins. So again, this is just a theory. Obviously, it's Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, so I don't even think it's particularly strong. But the idea would be not that it's really even creating any new clues, but kind of like how I define that pointers idea, that he's using the introduction to point you to specific areas of the part 2 boxes to pay attention to. So maybe we'll do more research into maybe the gold, silver, titanium, brass, how that could play in, or the Cassis coins, how that could play into it. Next one was, at first, this plan sounded awesome as it reverberated between my ears. And that one I pretty quickly made connection to the Forest Fen box, actually, because he goes way out of his way to talk about sonar stuff in Forest Fen box, like over the course of multiple pages.
Interesting.
So 3 different quotes here. I'd certainly need some kind of special sonar equipment. I spent the next week researching shipwrecks, oceanic law, sonar equipment. And then later, no special sonar equipment was needed. So the idea of reverberation seemed out of place into introduction, and then for him to be talking so much about sonar coming up so much in the Past and Future, in a Forest Fen box seemed of interest. Then I've got, perhaps they'll even provoke a grin from you, as they certainly did from me, which is Pokemon box, which Brent could talk all day about this, I'm sure. I just smiled and feigned relief. Obsigoons are more similar to raccoons than badgers. Anyway, he smiled. How about now? I responded with a smile. And the whole general idea of nonverbal communication in Pokemon Box. And then one that I had thought of was, he says, provoke a grin. Could be like provoke a grin ninja, potentially. I don't know if there's like a Pokemon terms having to do with provoke. And then the last one, I wanted you to feel that there is a reasonable possibility that at least one of our treasure boxes was in a location not terribly far from where you are right now. So that just leaves the Appalachian Footpath box. And the connection I made there was the quote, because one of the more famous parts of the Appalachian Trail traverses through the Blue Ridge Mountains near Asheville, North Carolina. I had fairly close access to the trail as a child. That one probably not as strong as the other ones, but there's some connection there. And it's rereading the Appalachian Footpath box text with kind of this in mind as I was putting this theory together. I realized it'd be really hard to point to much. So this is actually, it doesn't look super strong, but I think it'd be hard to have a connection that would be really super strong given what he has in the Appalachian box text. So let me stop here because I'm going to get into another theory that I'm much more excited about, but I wanted to just touch on this first and that idea. See if you guys have any thoughts.
I'm more convinced of it. Well, I think maybe what I am, this has been eye-opening to me because when you originally said that you were going to say brands with past and future box, I was like, surely that's incorrect because brands goes with Pokemon box because Samsonite, Jayco. And I think that's where I then needed the clarification, like, oh, are you saying these all apply to all the boxes in different ways? So it was really interesting to see you point out the instances of brand in past and future. I would say, yeah, you make strong arguments for all of them. I agree. Appalachian Footpath box would be the weakest. Maybe there's something else a little bit more cryptic that would align to make this theory work from the part 2 introduction. But I really like the sonar one. Again, for me, I think this is kind of, like I said, eye-opening that I'm probably too biased towards Pokemon box because when I read sound reverberates between my ears, I think, well, he talks about hearing all these things in the Pokemon box. So I really like hearing your perspective. That's super helpful.
I would say kind of reverse engineering it if he wanted to specifically draw your attention to his excerpt about how he had easy access to this specific area of the Appalachian Trail because he lived close to it as a child. I do think that in the introduction to part 2 saying at least one of our treasure boxes is not terribly far from where we are right now, it's, I don't know. I go back and forth on how strong that could potentially be. Ultimately, this is the Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. I don't really think any of this is quite correct, but it's kind of an idea into, it's a glimpse into a theory that I had. And I do think the logic holds up that if he's going to go out of his way to write the introduction, he probably wants to at least hint at some stuff, but without full hints. So then the whole idea, again, of these pointers point you towards the important parts of the chapter. I think that that's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question. So my gut reaction was the same as Bryn's. The brands I thought was going to be a Pokemon connection. So very good, and pulling that out to past and future box. Going back to the Force Fen one, which I like a lot with the reverberation between the ears and the sounds.
Mm-hmm.
How would that connect to the Force Fen poem, if at all?
Sorry, say it. Do you already have an answer for this?
I do. It's a trick. It's a quiz.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if it was a trick question. How does the...
So say that sound is a pointer, right?
Yeah.
The reverberation between the ears and then the 3 mentions of the sonar. But I feel like the Force Fen poem is the main information that you need for this box. So I had to look.
Philosopher's Stone.
Because I didn't know if there was a connection. But the last stanza does say, "So listen well and hear me all." So there is a sound query. The Force Fed poem also has a listen line as well. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but anyway, there is a connection to the actual poem if we follow through with this theory. Cool. This is a great Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
Thank you. This isn't even the good one. The good one's coming next. I got another one. But yes, this one reflects my new way of approaching things, which is narrow things down instead of create more threads to pull on. So trying to find connections that point me towards what to focus on and not just show up to my Horseshoes and Hand Grenades being like, hey, check out all these other things I'm looking into. All right. Now to get to the one I'm really excited about. Past and Future Box. Here we go. Connecting themes in the text prior to the word search in the cryptogram. So again, I keep getting kind of bogged down and keep doing the same things with the word search in the cryptogram. So I'm trying to find ways to be productive, but get kind of this same information I keep coming back to out of my head for a second to get some new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really into when we hear, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Bryn, but when Bryn and I hear some potential solves people have, I think one of the things we find ourselves most frequently like having trouble with is lack of connections to like the central theme of the chapter. We're big theme people, right, Bryn?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of our brand as a podcast with a lot of the approaches we've taken. Big theme podcast.
Big theme podcast. So I wanted to try and approach the Past and Future box very, very thematically and like, let's find some ideas, reverse engineer some stuff. Let's find some ideas that just hit on a lot of these different themes. And I also wanted to focus on this whole like 3/4 of the chapter that comes before the word search in the cryptogram page, even though I keep just like flipping past those and going straight to the word search and cryptogram page. So reread the first 3/4 of the chapter and really dialed in on what are the themes, and let's find some potential things to explore that would kind of satisfy all these theme connections. So key themes, obviously past and future, which incorporates both past and future.
I have to add in that I like saw out of the corner of my eye Cody working on this deck from across the room, and like this is all I saw. It's like great content.
Thank you. I wanted to break it out and show, obviously it's past and future. That's the name of the box. But I sometimes do the same thing where it's like, all right, here's a bunch of future connections. So that meets the past and future. But I think it does need to have both the past and future and a connection between the two element. So 2 different boxes to check for past and future. Bitcoin, that's a big one. He spends a lot of time talking about it. Obviously, kind of breaking it down in the same way. We have connections to kind of currency, technology, and computation, and then more kind of just future connections. Bitcoin's kind of a very futuristic thing. And then you have the Ready Player One, which is the 1980s games and nostalgia. And I put a little asterisk next to Oasis here. You'll see why as I go further into this deck. But he mentions Oasis, and it's in all caps, which I think it is in the book too, but it very much stands out in the page, and it's in there like 8, 9, 10 times, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So rereading it, I wanted to kind of come up with some ideas that checked off as many of these boxes as possible and in as condensed a way as possible. Because when I thought through it, it's really hard for there to be like one big hint that hits on past the future and gets you to like a state, and then another one that hits on Bitcoin and gets you to like a city. It kind of needs to mesh together into one conglomeration that leads you geographically to an area. So had previously taken kind of a similar approach and had really gotten into the idea of like old currencies. Because I feel like Bitcoin is a currency and is the future part of past and future. So if I could find like an old ancient currency that somehow maybe is related to Bitcoin in some way or has some similarities, that ancient currency would really be strong thematically for past, future, Bitcoin, all that stuff.
Okay.
And I never really got anywhere doing that. But revisiting this and writing some of it down, and then also wrapping in some of this Ready Player One ideas that I was thinking about thematically, I came up with, boom, old arcade tokens they used to use at the arcade.
Interesting.
I feel like it hits on so many of the themes because Bitcoin's obviously big predominant thing in the book, in the chapter. So this would be a past nostalgic coin that would kind of reflect this now new futuristic technological coin. And the other one was very like, the arcade one would be very what's the word? The opposite of like technology. Be very
retro.
Yeah, I'm looking for a different word, but you get the point. So I feel like it hits on a lot of these kind of themes and sub themes. This would be the past with Bitcoin. The future hits on currency and Bitcoin, and then hits on a lot of the Ready Player One themes of like the old nostalgic games. So I really liked the idea of old arcade tokens. So I started looking into those a little bit, and there were two things that they really had going for them. So here's a few pictures of some old retro arcade game tokens. The two things that they really have going for them are A, that a lot of them have little icons on them. And I feel like there's a lot of ways to give hints in the chapter that could tie you to a specific icon, right? And then on the other side, they typically have like the very specific arcade that they're used at, which ties you to a geographical location. So on theme gives you an icon. It tells you where this arcade was located. And then it was just all about finding an old arcade token that felt like it had a connection with something in the chapter.
Okay.
And I got this guy. It's Harris Sam's Adventure, which is in New Jersey. Guess what's on the back?
Does it say, okay.
An oasis of fun.
Wow. Interesting.
So it's got the word adventure on the front and oasis on the back. And is in New Jersey, which again, I was doing this in a vacuum outside of being influenced by the cryptogram. But naturally at this point, you think cryptogram has the North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Maine. And
Word search.
Word search, not cryptogram. The word search has North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Maine. This puts the New Jersey, where this arcade's located, like pretty central in that map on the word search.
Interesting.
So, I feel like there's a lot of connections, really checks off a lot of themes, which I'm all about. And just seems kind of crisp and clean. So maybe a dead ringer, maybe not a Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. I was a big fan of this one.
That's interesting. Thinking about the MA, I think that might be Massachusetts, not Maine, but I was going to pull up a map and look at it a little closer, but I think
you have to look at a map for that.
I know. Sorry. I think that's I like that connection a lot. I was thinking about while you were talking, thinking about the Ready Player One, where he gets where where Parzival gets the free life by beating Pac-Man. I was wondering if that was a arcade token or not. It's not. It's a 1981 quarter. So then I said, is there anything special about a 1981 quarter potentially? And nothing really popped up. I did about 1 second of research, so that might be something worth looking into. But that is quite a coincidence, if true.
If it's a coincidence.
If it's not a dead ringer.
If you're using Massachusetts, this would still be...
It's still valid. Okay.
Yeah, still be on that map, on that word search. So.
Okay. Huh. Fascinating. Because, yeah, why...
Yeah, I quite like that one.
Why are those states there, right? I know we used them for the Mammoth Cave solve, right? Because where that cross of the O's is kind of lined up with Mammoth Caves in Kentucky. But other than that, I don't know how satisfying. I know we've seen the state of Franklin usage of those states as well, but this would be a different approach that I hadn't seen at all. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. I'm excited about that New Jersey location, but I'm also, if that doesn't end up being it, I'm also really excited about the idea of arcade token in general. Again, I feel like, I know I've said it a bunch, but I'm really excited about how on theme and so many themes at once it hits, and that you can get a geographical location because a lot of these arcades had specific tokens made just for them.
Yeah, so that's a great connection. Great connection. Huh.
I agree that I really like having an analog coin that is.
That's the word I was looking for. Is analog.
I knew it. An analog coin versus this digital coin, and the fact that it ties in with the 1980s gaming nostalgia. That's excellent. I personally think. What's your word, Cody? Too big of a bite. Different context here, but I think just then finding a specific coin that matches that theme to get us to a location, to me, I think is too big of a jump and a solve.
Well, to be clear about my expectations would be that this all happens prior to word search or cryptogram in the book. And that this would be like, okay, you start here, maybe 19 in the word search ends up meaning like within 19 miles of this location, that's where you start doing something. But it would this is not a, oh, I'm going to go check out this arcade. This is a step along the way. If correct.
Yeah, even a state, right, would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I think maybe to me it's like you have all of these arcade tokens out there in the world. And so the odds of him thinking that someone's going to happen to find the right Oasis coin to get them to the state, city, whatever, feels like a stretch to me. Plus, I mean, there just has to be so many out there that like he can't be confident that there's not something else, right? That also fit. But I really like the arcade tokens. Yeah.
Yeah, literally checks a lot of boxes.
Right.
Very, very interesting.
Right. Yeah, and maybe I'm just spitballing here. I don't want to come off like I'm defending the idea too much, but I haven't done a lot of research into. I can see a lot of ways around your thought of there being too many. Like maybe there's something specific about that specific arcade or just the correct arcade that would kind of bolster the idea of it being the correct one. Like maybe it's, hey, in the 1980s, this was the biggest arcade in the United States or something like that, something that would kind of make it stand out from the crowd a little bit.
Right. No, I like that a lot. Like even if the idea is to get you, to identify the correct arcade as, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm excited. I really hope people comment in this video with some more, because I feel like I'm on a scent of something specific more than I have been in a long time with that one.
Okay. Awesome. Very good. Very excellent. Should we dive into the mailbag?
Mailbag. We've got mail.
Bryn, you have mailbag today.
I have mailbag. Okay, so the first note I want to read here is from Alex, and this is in response to the Jon Collins-Black email. Alex says, I found this email shocking. Why? Because he is updating on 10/21, which is strange since that would have been the first year anniversary of the original release that was postponed, which we mentioned. But then he also says, why so strange? Because 10 and 21 are triangular numbers, and he is stubbornly sticking with this date to update us instead of the actual date when the books came out. My triangular number spidey sense has been reactivated now. In case you did not get the message, I pasted a piece of it here. Okay, so I just wanted to call out the note about the triangular numbers in that date as well. I thought you guys might like that.
I love that. Didn't even think of it. That's a great note. That's so good, actually. I mean, I'm very convinced that triangular numbers, and even if it's not a proper triangular number, somehow that pattern of numbers in the Michael Jordan chapter is like one of those solid clues for me. Like, that is too obvious now at this point. That's not a clue, and the importance of releasing on 10/21 to even be a confirmer of that is very interesting. I like that.
Can you imagine, like, if we now feel confident that this 10/21 date is important, like the devastation of working on this project for 5 years to like have it all be launching on this date and then have to push it back, be like the very first thing that you're trying to do goes off the rails? That would suck.
Yeah, it's a bad start. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
He could have just waited one more year.
Yeah. Okay, the next email is from Louise, and she is actually writing to us from the UK. So super cool that we have a little bit of an international audience here. I thought that was really fun. So she was writing in some commentary on Rayne, Louisiana, and Rayne is spelled Rayne. I was really excited about this email because Rayne was early on one of my buy tickets now, let's go locations. Like right off the bat with Pokemon box, because I was like, oh, the no fire Pokemon Rayne, like Rain. I like that with the wordplay. Well, I won't get too far ahead. I'll read her email. It says, Rayne, it's known as the frog capital of the world. The town's stores have paintings of frogs plus frog statues. So if you remember in the chapter, he says, reminds him of the cute frog faces from the road trip as a child. Bullfrogs from Rayne actually went into orbit with NASA, halfway to the stars. If you haven't investigated this place, you should. With all the references in the passage to the army, I think it may be in a place like Veterans Park. In the park, there is a monument of an American eagle. I also think the reference to the Eiffel Tower could be a large metal structure. There are so many other connections to this place, but my favorite idea is not far from a place where locals turn up from time to time is a time capsule. The local people of Rayne in 1883 started this, then in 1983 and then opened it in 1983, and then it won't be opened again until 2083.
Wow.
I think maybe the hidden image of the Mew could represent the capsule and what's inside for the future due to its psychic abilities. So I was excited to hear someone else talking about Rayne. If you want to pull up the picture of the American Eagle statue, that would be great. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how many miles exactly west of New Orleans, but it would be on the route from New Orleans to Houston. Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun that she found an actual American eagle statue. And if you were to go to the next photo, Blake, you
Hmm.
can see that it's actually named American Eagle. So I think maybe where I originally lost some enthusiasm early on with Rain was it just didn't like feel like when you look around, it like just didn't feel like a place where you would hide a treasure.
Hmm.
But there are all sorts of fun connections to Rain. And maybe someone if they're boots on the ground, they would have a much different perspective of the area than I can gather online. But it was fun to see these connections come through, especially from treasure hunting abroad.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I love the use of time to time because that's one of those phrases that's, I think, critical to this box, right? It's that and clapping feverishly
Clapping
and winking knowingly.
Yeah.
But where locals, I can't remember the exact phrasing, where locals turn up.
Where locals turn up from time to time.
That's so.
And it's important that that's at the end of the chapter where he actually hid the treasure was near where locals turn up from time to time. Because my initial thought was that a time capsule might be something that's too generic, happens in too many towns,
Mhm.
or too common. And kind of like we were just talking about with the arcade, like maybe there's a reason that this one's special, something else that bolsters it. But taking a step back and thinking about how this is at the end of the chapter and this is where they hid the treasure, really the there'd be a lot of other clues that would bring you to that area. And the idea of the time capsule is really just to point you towards kind of maybe that last little stretch to where the actual treasure is hidden. It's not, oh, come to Rain, Louisiana because we have a time capsule. So I do like that.
Yeah, that time to time is really, I think, very clever.
Yeah.
It fits that generic clue like pretty well. So putting that on the radar is very interesting. Yeah, just looking at the eagle statue, obviously you have a big power substation behind that, and it's like maybe not the most quote unquote beautiful place, at least at that statue, but I would be interested to explore that maybe a little bit more via Google Maps or Onyx to see what kind of trails and terrain is around there, if there's some good sightseeing there, natural sightseeing. But those are really excellent connections, really excellent.
Yeah, a lot of them seem very blatant and on the nose, but again, we're so not calibrated, we don't know how JCB thinks. We should probably be starting with some of these simple solutions. Like this thing is actually named American Eagle.
Yeah.
And the town is named Rain and there's no fire Pokemon. Like
Interesting. Yeah.
Like start with this and then elaborate from there versus the other way around. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, one of the things I really liked at the beginning was the idea of like Froakie liked that place so much he decided to stay there. Like, well, if it's surrounded by all these cute frogs, this frog capital of the world, of course Froakie would like that.
He went to hopped off to go see his friends.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, some fun connections to Rain if you would like to check it out.
That's great. Okay. Excellent. What a good episode. I like everything so far.
Oh, I will say regarding the frog has been to space thing, it is remarkable in my research of all the different things I've researched for this treasure hunt, how many things have been to space. So that one's not huge for me. It seems like everything I Google, it's like, hey, did you know this has been to space? Got a bunch of hoarder astronauts up there with a little bit of everything.
I can't remember if it was Pokemon box. I think it was. I don't know. Earlier on, we had some horseshoes and hand grenades, or maybe a mailbag. But one of the trees that was like landmark, like the tree had been sent to space as well, as like a seedling. Everything's going to space.
Any music I've looked into, it's like, well, a record of this was in space.
Oh, yeah. What about your Buzz Aldrin song? All right. Should we dive into...
What was his
Rocket
name?
Man. Oh.
Dr. Rendezvous.
Dr. Rendezvous.
I am the Rocket Man. I am the Spaceman.
All right.
I listened to the song a couple times, unironically. It was pretty good.
More than a couple times. That was an unfortunate time in our household that was being played regularly.
Time for Discord Detectives. All right. This is a non-traditional Discord Detectives, since these are some private communications, but this is where they fit fairly well. I guess they could have got in Mailbag too, but this was something that our new treasure hunt partner, Zach, had pointed out to me about the Pokemon box and the potential of the Jon Coltrane Circle of Fifths. Go ahead, Bryn.
I want to, when we say partner, I want to be clear because
Yeah, sorry.
A lot of people have emailed us asking to partner up, and we haven't had capacity to partner up, and so I don't want people to think that we've now partnered with somebody else. This is just one of Blake's friends.
It's a personal friend of mine, yes.
Yeah.
Not anybody that I met through the treasure hunt community, unfortunately, but he finally got a book from my coercion because he's pretty smart, I'll say, very smart. So that might hinder us since you don't have to be a genius. But anyway, he has some new ideas. I ordered him a book and he bought a book on the same day, and so they arrived the next day via Amazon, and now he has 2 copies of the book accidentally. So I took one, and the interesting thing was, and maybe this is a news segment, we ordered 2 books from Amazon simultaneously. One is more up to date than the other. So one of the books had 5.5 still, and the other book had 5.5. So what Jon Collins-Black said about some of the updated books hitting circulation seems to be the case, but alas, it's still fairly random what you actually receive. All right. So he sent me this link to a website. I have to find my notes here. I apologize. A website called roelsworld.eu, and I'll have that link in just a second when I put my figures up. It's about the Jon Coltrane Circle of Fifths. It's a blog post about the geometry and the music theory behind the Circle of Fifths. It's pretty in-depth, so I recommend taking a little bit of time and reading it. Just to remind everybody, when we're talking about the Jon Coltrane Circle of Fifths, this is the figure that we're talking about. It's all of these notes with all of these lines in a circle. You know, the connection to Jar of Flies seems pretty strong. I think Cody pointed that out.
I did not come up with it, but I pointed it out to you guys.
You pointed it out, okay. As a interesting way to connect Jar of Flies in the Pokemon chapter to Jon Coltrane as being appropriate. If you go to the bottom of this article, so let me switch my image here and give full credit to the author. There's some interesting tidbits that I want to share. So this is Roel's World, a contemplative blog, and it's at roelsworld.eu/blog-saxophone. Anyway, I'll have a link to it in the show notes. And there's a bunch of music theory that's a little bit over my head. At the bottom is a subsection called Flower of Life, parentheses 61. As mentioned above, the Coltrane circle covers 5 octaves, equaling 5 times 12 tones, which equals 60 tones within one circle. That number reminded me of an extended version of the Flower of Life that contains 60 circles drawn around/over one circle in the center. So there's 61 circles in total. The Flower of Life is a geometric pattern grid of repeating, overlapping circles of an equal radius in two-dimensional space. Commonly, designs are based on circles centered on triangles, with the simple two-circle form named Vesia Precis, or on the square lattice pattern of points. So there's kind of two versions of this, and I'm only showing the one that's in the blog. I'm wondering if the other version, and I haven't figured this out yet, is more of the circle pattern on the puzzle box and on the Pokemon box coin, which I'll have a figure of later. The Flower of Life symbol is one of the most known and recognized geometric sacred geometry symbols. This special symbol represents the cycle of life. It visualizes that all consciousness arises from one source, the first center circle. The 5 platonic solids are found within the Flower of Life, as well as many others, including the Seed of Life, Tree of Life, Metatron's Cube, just to name a few. So there's a bunch of these shapes, and I would recommend, I know the management, you may know from, there's Treasure Inside Edition. She had a good video on YouTube, I would say maybe 6 or 7 months ago, about some of these shapes, I think associated with Circle of Life as well. If you want more in depth of a deep dive on some of those shapes, I'd recommend that. These shapes act as building blocks for all living things, starting with the very first circle. There are many variations of the Flower of Life, some having as little as only 7 circles. When you place the Flower of Life over the Coltrane circle, you can see they fit nicely together. And that's the figure on the right, is the overlay of Circle of Life on the Coltrane circle of fifths. The outer circles and crossings of the circles align with the trigons, C to E to A minor, and D to D minor to G minor, as well as with the trigons G to B to E minor and F to A to D minor. 12 tones that together form 2 hexagons. Perhaps it is quote-unquote coincidence that the 60 around one circle, 61 circles, Flower of Life aligns with Coltrane's tone circle, with 5 times 12, 60 tones within one circle, also 61 circles. But as mentioned before, Coltrane's interest in mathematics, philosophy, and the occult might have played a role here too. Perhaps not, we will never know for sure. Another funny coincidence is that Coltrane drew his tone circle in 1961, so another 61 connection, as mentioned earlier in the article. So I thought this was an interesting approach. I mean, it kind of bleeds into, in my opinion, the lion's share box because of the Circle of Life. So I thought bringing this to the attention of you guys is interesting, that this Flower of Life might fit in nicely with some of the themes in the lion's share part 1 as well, because of the butterfly, the flowers, things like that. This seems to be very important for that. So whether or not this is like helpful in the Pokemon box, I'm not sure, but I thought there was some interesting connections to what I think are some lion's share clues as well. So do you guys have initial thoughts on this?
I mean, I think Circle of Life is also very applicable to the Pokemon box specifically.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's very much like the different, like the metamorphosis of the frog and like the different generations and the mother with the babies, raccoon. So like, I think that it could be very relevant to potentially both.
So looking at your graphic here, the one in the bottom right-hand corner is obviously the John Coltrane quote-unquote circle of fifths.
Yes.
The one above that, I believe that's like, not the blue part, obviously, but the background, that's a traditional circle of fifths, right?
Yes.
And then we're overlaying this thing that you're talking about, this Circle of Life, 61 circles.
Mm-hmm.
And is there, I guess I didn't catch the reason to connect those two. I guess I understand that, like, if you
So
scale them in this way, that
yeah,
each of those 6 notes is circled, but it also feels like any hexagon really is going to touch
yeah.
on those 6 points.
And I think the author says, like, because of the 60 notes plus the circle that encapsulates them all, the 60
right.
notes is what triggered the thought of the traditional circle flower of life, excuse me, in their thought. That's how they made the connection. That. Yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting information, let's say.
Yeah, you did say that, and that does make sense. I was just trying to, yeah, it was a lot of information. I was trying to get back to why those two in particular were connected, other than having, a hexagonal element to them.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Okay.
Completely fair. So I think I'll use my own verbiage here. It's a little woo-woo, but I think it's interesting because of the circle of life. And Bryn, you're saying the connections to Pokemon as well is kind of interesting. Whether it's this complex or not, probably not this complex in my opinion. This is pretty out there, but if this triggers some creative thinking for us or for others, like, I just wanted to get it out there. And again, I'll post the link that talks a lot more about the music theory. This was kind of an aside at the end, I would say, about the flower of life. So anyway, I wouldn't put too much stock into it other than it's kind of an interesting thought exercise. The pattern of the actual coin and the pattern on the JCB box, I cannot confirm yet if that is also considered a flower of life. Bryn, you pointed out that was a Shippo pattern, which is a traditional Japanese geometric design featuring endless interlocking circles that symbolize harmony, good fortune, and eternal connection. The name Shippo means 7 treasures, referring to the 7 treasures of Buddhism, which the pattern represents. It is widely used in traditional crafts like cloisonné enamel and textiles, as well as in modern applications like woodworking, digital fonts, and embroidery. That's my quick summary.
Man, if this all comes down to the circle of fifths, I'm in trouble. I mean, the whole music is not my specialty, that's for sure. So, I know sometimes I worry because I know it's like each part 2 box is structured to kind of like be intriguing to different people, whether that be geographically or like solve wise, different solve types and kind of knowledge bases maybe. So sometimes I worry that I maybe picked something that's just like not what I should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be part of it. I would be very satisfied if the Circle of Fifths was in the Pokemon box, because I just haven't been latching on to anything that's super musical at this point in the book. And I feel like if Jon is using his strengths, he should be incorporating music somewhere, because that was his profession for a long time. So if it's here, maybe. If it's somewhere else, I'd be fine with that. But I'm not going to be satisfied if there's no musical clues in any of the chapters.
I'm almost convincing myself that if it's not this, maybe it's such a big, broad thing in his life that it's very tied in with the lion's share, especially with that, the last chapter and, the Joy's Serenade. I think there could just be like a huge music thread throughout lion's share that maybe we haven't like fully pulled yet.
Okay.
That's kind of my hope, at least.
You manifest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we do coincidence of the day? Cody, you got Never a coincidence, yes.
All right, check it out. Boom.
Oh,
All right, this one's for you, Bryn. Here's some screenshots of me playing Pokemon Fire Red on an emulator on my phone and beating it in like 3 days. I played it a lot as a kid, so it came back quick. So,
Muscle memory.
not pictured is my level 70 Dragonite,
wow.
amongst other excellent Pokemon. So this is, I wanted to highlight Celadon department store. The screenshot here in the upper right hand corner. So this is like the biggest building in the game. Screenshot in the upper right hand corner is me taking the elevator to the 5th floor, because you can't take it to the 6th floor because the 6th floor is the rooftop. But I walked just off the screen left up that staircase, and you can see that there's a rooftop. So could be considered a 6-story building, like in Pokemon. And then I grabbed a screenshot of the, not Wikipedia, but the Pokemon Wikipedia page for Celadon City and highlighted a couple things there. It's the most populous city. It is a city called, whoa, what just happened?
We lost your screen share. Sorry.
Not my screen share. Oh boy. Un momento.
So you were saying that the building you took the elevator in was a hotel?
No, it's a department store.
Oh, that's right.
But it is 6 stories in the most populous city, because in the Pokemon box, he talks about feeling like it was the big city, right?
Yeah.
I had never been to a big city ever.
Am I back?
It looks like you're
Yes.
back. Yes.
Okay. Celadon City is also called the City of Rainbow Dreams. Dreams, Bryn.
Like it,
And
nice.
the map description says the city where people of many generations live together.
Wow.
Generations.
Interesting.
So obviously a coincidence of the day. I don't think this ties in at all. But between the 6-story building in a populous city about dreams and many generations living together, it felt like it touched on a few of the things that Bryn's always talking about.
I like it. Good Pokemon recon.
Yes. I'll keep playing the Pokemon games.
Yeah, just
It's
doing hard
research.
work.
I'm doing research.
Speaking of research, Cody and I started learning how to play the Pokemon trading card game.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
How's
good.
it going? Is it a high quality game?
It's more so than I expected. Like there's
Okay.
going to be more, at least as a very novice, I feel like there's going to be layers of strategy that I need to build in. Where that caps, I do not know, but
Okay.
from the first couple passes, I'm like, oh, there's actually a little bit more to this than I expected.
Nice.
There are a lot of different Pokemon mediums, and we're trying to dabble in each of them a little bit here. Watching the anime, playing the video game, playing the card game,
That's
collecting the
awesome.
cards.
We bought a pack of, the Scarlet and Violet 151. It was a pack that came with a poster where it's just like, I don't want to take it out, but it has a silhouette of all the original 151 Pokemon in order. And Cody and I went through to see how many we could name just off of that.
Without doing any research.
Mhm.
We didn't know the poster was in there, so as soon as we opened it, we said, don't look at your phone. Don't Google it.
Yeah.
Cody definitely knew way more than I did, but
Okay.
I think we did good.
We probably got like 140 of the 151,
Wow.
and maybe like 135.
Did
Yeah.
Bryn
Correct.
get Mr.
So-
Mime?
I think she
Yes.
did.
You better believe it.
He has a very prominent silhouette. I have been teaching Bryn a little bit of poker in preparation for Treasure Con, the Treasure Con poker tournament, which is
Excellent.
going to be extra interesting because I think I only know like 90% of the rules,
Oh.
and I'm teaching it to her. But I know all the major rules, but then it's like who bets first in round one, who bets first in round two. I'm like, I can't remember. I mean, it's just the two of us learning. So one
Right.
of us is always the big blind and one's always small blind, and which one of the big blind or small blind's the dealer, and it's tough.
All right,
You'll have to come out to visit so we can get a 3-person practice going.
A little more simulated game. No, that's good. Excellent. Looking forward to that very much.
I'm going to be so nervous. I have sweaty palms.
No, it's fine. All right. I think that's an episode. Any parting thoughts, or should we log off?
Logging off.
Logging off. All right. See you guys next week.
Searching for clues, let's find you.